First of all, good morning to all present here, and my gratitude for attending my presentation. And I would like to share my thinking here. So, I have got this opportunity to present this. So, my topic of research is the impact of human energy crisis on employees' performance in IT sector in India. I am Manjeet and I am presenting this my research on behalf of my University of Bolton, and this was a great opportunity to work with Dr. Palto Datta as a supervisor who is a research head at Regent College London, UK. So as the topic has highlighted the two terms human energy crisis and employees performance. So my presentation will revolve around all these contents. We will talk them about them one by one. So, what is human energy? We all need energy for surviving. So, these energy is ranged from vigor to emotional exhaustion, but stress can affect the energy, and it could also, if on increased level, lead to burnout, and which affects the performance of employees, which was highlighted by Liu and all in 2023. And which gives more important to the study is that this stress, which is related, can also lead to chronic health disease, and there is 79% of risk of these kind of issues. So this gives us a major reason to research, and we should also resolve this so that employees can give their 100%. And according to human social and human capital theory, employees are very much important for the sustainability and success of the organization. And talking about the study context, not only organizations but also government is much more concerned about the IT sector because of their work pressure, and they need to work under high stress levels. So the context of this research is IT sector in India. To For this study, the main primary aim and objective, which are both linked, was to examine the impact of human energy crisis on employees' performance in IT sector in India. My two other objectives were to understand and critically evaluate the term human energy crisis, which was based on employees' perspective, what they think about it, and then to provide recommendations for organizations to overcome this crisis and how can they enhance the productivity of employees. My research questions, they are well linked to all the objectives we have discussed. How does human energy crisis affect the employee's performance? What is human energy crisis and why it needs to be addressed? And what can be done to improve the employee's performance? So, talking about the significance of this study, as I discussed earlier, that human and social capital theory have highlighted that the employees not only are important for overall development or overall results of company, but also for the financial performance of the organization. And if they work with their positive behavior and attitude, towards the success. And not I would not only talk about post crisis, but before that also, stress, which is a common factor, it really affects our mental health, not only for employees but I believe for each and every individual. Stress affect us, and it not only have negative effects, sometimes it have positive effects as well, which is highlighted in literature. But on performance it have negative impacts, and it also affects our well-being. So there was research gap in the study because I have taken all the mediating factors which are important and what can be done. So there was not much existing research on this topic, because human energy crisis, the term was recently highlighted by HR at Microsoft in 2021. So, talking about the key literature and the conceptual framework, based on the literature I studied, I formulated 9 hypotheses, which are well shown here. So, as I told you that employee energy starts from vigor to emotional exhaustion, which further leads to burnout. And this is quite important for us to understand these issues and how to overcome this. So HR managers, they directly plays an important role for management and recovery of the employees. And crisis management aids in resilience and healing, and psychological strategies like relational redundancy support this process. So my main hypothesis was human energy crisis directly impacts the employee's performance. So the factors which result in human energy crisis are workload, stress, burnout, lack of work life balance. And the factors which would lead to better employee performance are engaging your employees more and more, increasing their productivity by motivating them, by giving them social support needed at the organization, and creating a creative and psychological safe workplace. So the research methodology I adopted was starting with the positive philosophy, on which the first the literature was studies. Based on that, hypotheses were formulated and then they were statistically tested. And followed by that was deductive approach with the quantitative method and cross-sectional survey. I used stratified sampling strategy, or using the online platforms. The time was limited, so I was only able to survey 65 employees working in IT sector, and all the ethical standards and reliability and validity were taken care of. So these are the important research findings. So first of all, to test the reliability of the data I collected, I performed Cronbach alpha test, and which whose coefficient was 0.907, which highlighted that it is quite reliable. And these are my hypotheses based on uh, what the respondent said. The decision has been made. So there is high perception that stress directly impacts the performance of employees. There is medium perception that workload negatively affects employees performance, and high perception that burnout results in decreased employees' performance. Lack of life balance also affects the employees' performance. Then, on the other factors to increase the employees' performance, employee engagement, creativity, and psychologically safe workplace motivation, satisfaction, organizational commitment, and social support. They all influences the performance of employees. And the main question, human energy crisis impacts the employees performance, there is high perception among the respondents. Apart from that, there were two more questions: that how much does this human energy crisis leads to disengagement, and the other question was how much does this disengagement affects your performance. The rating scale was 0 to 10, and the ratings were then tested using Pearson correlation test, and the correlation coefficient was 0.767, which is very significant at 0.01 level of significance. To test the significance of the results, chi-square test and p-tests were performed, which all highlighted that the two variables are significantly related to each other. So, as I discussed, there were some limitations of this research as there was time constraint. I only had 5 days for data collection. So, because of that, I was only able to survey 65 respondents, and as the sample size is 65, which could have been larger, so it affects the generalization of the study. Also, there is single context of the study, IT sector in India. So it also affects its generalization to other sectors and industries. And additionally, there was lack of resources, which can have impacted the results of the study. So, what are the conclusions and implications of this study? So, based on the respondents, there was one open ended question that, according to you, what is human energy crisis? And they highlighted that this human energy crisis is when you are not able to use your potential to your 100% because of the stress and burnout you have. And as the results have highlighted, the statistical tests have highlighted that human energy crisis negatively impacts the employee's performance, which leads to decreased productivity, loss, innovation, morale. And organization can empower employees by making more connections, recognizing their employees and rewarding them, and they can create wellness programs to improve work life balance. This research contributes to academic literature and highlights that what human energy crisis is, what is its importance, and why we need to look at this. It also provides insight for various stakeholders so they can improve the employees' performance not only for organizations but also for government level. And uh, we can also improve this research in further by working separately on the conceptual framework discussed, because there was word limit, so it was not discussed with much more research, in-depth research. And there is single context, we can take a wider context and we can use different methodologies such as by in-depth interviews. So this is all about my research. Thank you for listening to me, and your questions are most welcomed.
Thank you very much for presenting the topic of your interest and of your research.